Come.
Yes, sir.
Okay, 4, 5,
11 ang online,
5,
sir.
11
Oh, 12,
online.
12,
So,
sir.
online. Majority is online.
Sir, ay wala, sir, si...
Okay. Okay. Ay hapon sa tanan, the 56 regular
Ay
session sa
hapon sa
Gunyang
tanan, duha ka
Pagtakbayan sa
toro.
Cagayan de Oro is now called on to order. Please do stand. An invocation by Councilor Saldi Ocon. Mayong hapon kanimo, Konsyal.
Ay nga po, Vice.
Okay, loud and clear. Okay, carry on.
Okay. Sa ngalan sumahan sa anak sa Espiritu Santo. Amen. Makagagahom na mga Diyos, mabubuhat ka sa langit, sa yuta, sa tanang butang, makita ug dili makita. Ginoo nining maong kahaponon, atol nining regular session. Ipadala Ginoo ang imong espiritu, ngaron among tukion unsa ang mga butang nga makapahimuot kanimo diyas pagpangalagad namo sa imong katawhan dinhi sa dakbayan sa Cagayan de Oro. Gayri ang matag usa kanamo nining maong kahaponon. Labi na ang among presiding officer, the Vice Mayor Kikang Oy, ug tanan nga mga membro sa konseyo. Amahan kining tanan among gipangayo, gipasalamatan pinaagi ni Kristo imong anak. Mabuhi ug hari uban kanimo ug sa balaan nga Espiritu Santo, Dios nga usa, hangtod sa kahangturan. Amen.
Amen. Salamat, Councilor Saldi Ocon, and for the singing of our national anthem. And for the Cagayan de Oro March. Maayong hapon sa tanan. All the regular members of the 19th City Council, maayong hapon ka natong tanan. And so as our very own Secretary, Arturo de San Miguel, maayong hapon kanimo. Before we proceed, I would like to greet in behalf of the 19th City Council our birthday celebrant, no other than Councilor Edgar S. Cabanlas,
Kapag bulinom na
as Councilor Inday Dahino, maayong
Yes.
hapon and happy birthday.
Happy
to you.
birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh.
Dungan, dungan.
So, Councilor Edgar Cabanlas, 50th? At 28 plus? 50 plus?
Tuyang.
Ang plus is secret daw. Happy birthday, Councilor Edgar S. Cabanlas, and so as Councilor Inday Dahino. Happy birthday.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Vice.
Despite that we have facing pandemic right now, so we have our each reason that we have to celebrate and be happy and thankful about everyday, day-to-day life. Happy birthday to you, Councilor
Thank you.
Edgar Cabanlas and Inday Marban Dahino, in behalf of the 19th City Council.
Thank
So-
you.
So kita lang sa mukhaon sa lechon ni Councilor Ed Vice.
Sila-
Okay. Okay.
Binili lang, binili.
Schedule
In
kang
the absence of
Councilor Inday.
everybody, so katulang sang naada
Yeah,
ni
hi.
Padala lang sa EcoBag.
Ale J.
Councilor Edgar Cabanlas, happy birthday Pormero.
Nay, pabakasyon ko ni Vice.
Uh, okay, so you can visit after our session this afternoon. So,
Pwede padala sa Panda. Pwede sa Panda lang.
atong tuluman nun, so Councilor Edgar Cabanlas wants to celebrate with a birthday blast. Salamat kayo, Edgar Cabanlas. Nagdala daw siya gilipante.
Ano ko, sobra. Agi, sobra ganda. Sobra.
Kamo na eh. Hadlock man daw mo. Anyway,
Di pakiton mag-zoom gyapon ta.
mag-zoom. Unya. Okay.
Ipakita lang gyapon nato.
Ay lang. That's adding injury.
So, how about Councilor J. Pascual? Kumusta?
Nagbisita.
Councilor J,
Paswab pa,
do
swab.
you have any update or COVID or nag-mutate na? From
Mining natay COVID Vice kay di na ta magmask ug mag-alcohol. Padulong na ang gaswab Vice. Mag-swab ko karon taud-taud.
okay. Is it your last day?
Grabe sa advice oy, di pa man ko mamatay Vice. Last day na gyud.
Oh, what I mean is last day of your quarantine.
Aw.
Today's.
Dili basin mga another 2 days pa Vice kay kwaon pa ang result
Okay.
sa swab.
Today is your 12th day. 12 days. So, 2
Murag
days.
na ang gaswab sa ako Vice.
Okay. Okay, good luck to you, Councilor J. Get well soon. Okay?
Thank you.
Anyway, at this moment of time, Mr. Secretary Arturo de San Miguel, can you do the roll call and determine
Okay,
the
dako.
quorum formally?
Tagapon.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Pare.
Honorable Renar Joaquin Vioy, City Vice Mayor and President.
Yun.
Speaking.
For the first district councilors,
Ikaw na, no?
Honorable Ednaim Dahino, Honorable J.R. Pascual,
Press.
Honorable Roger J. Aplay,
Present.
Honorable Saldi O. Ocon,
Present.
Honorable George S. Booking, Honorable Ruben R. Daba,
Here.
Honorable Lordan G. Swan, Honorable Romeo V. Calizo. For the second district councilors, Honorable Joylen Mercedes El Balaba,
Present.
Honorable Maria Lourdes Isgaani, Honorable Ayan Mark Kinakaya, Honorable Suset G. Magtahas Daba,
Here.
Honorable Chodolfo E. Lau Jr., Honorable Enrico D. Salcedo, Honorable Jocelyn B. Rodriguez,
Present.
Honorable Edgar S. Cabanlas. For the ex-officio members, Honorable Yan Lam Islim, Liga ng mga Barangay President, and Honorable John Michael L. Seno, CAA Federation President. There are 12 members present online, Mr. Chairman, and 5 members here at the session hall. There is quorum, Mr. Presiding Officer.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Secretary. So we have a quorum. So this moment, okay, our very own Majority Floor Leader, Ayan Kiblat Nakaya.
Thank you,
Mayong hapon kanimo Majority Floor.
Mr. Presiding Officer, Vice Mayor Renier Joaquin Abelet Kikang Uy, and to our colleagues and to the birthday celebrants, Councilor Ed Cabanlas and Councilor Inday Dahino. Happy birthday. And thank you for the lechon, Councilor Ed. To our fellow Cagayanons, friends from the media, maayong hapon. Og, I move, Mr. Chairman, to dispense with the reading of the minutes of meeting on September 7, 2020, and to consider the furnishing of its copy to every member as the reading itself.
Properly moved by the Majority Floor. Any second? Seconded. Correction? If there are any correction, there are none. It is hereby approved.
I likewise move for the approval of the said minutes of meeting.
For its finality, second, seconded.
On special report, Mr. Chairman, we have 2 members of the council who would like to render their respective special reports. First is Councilor Roger Abaday, who would like to report on the concerns of our senior citizens. And second, Councilor Zeldi Ocon would like to report on the resolution that was passed by the Provincial Board of Misamis Oriental. May I ask the chair to recognize first Councilor
Okay.
Roger Abaday.
Thank you, Majority Floor Leader. Okay, Councilor Roger Abaday.
Thank you very much.
First reporter this afternoon. And secondly, Councilor Saldi Ocon. Councilor Roger Abaday.
Thank you very much, Majority Floor. Thank you very much, Honorable Vice Mayor, the Presiding Officer, Rene Kikang Owi. Of course, the members, my colleagues in the 19th City Council, and my special birthday greetings to Councilor Dahino and Councilor Edgar Cabanlas, and the people who are with us in live, online, FB, and listening to us. Good afternoon. Mr. Chairman, my special report is about the DILG memorandum to all LGUs to respect the freedom of movement of older persons. Now, from the strictest enhanced community quarantine imposed in the mid of March to the present, at least stringent modified general community quarantine MGCQ implemented in June to prevent the spread of coronavirus disease 2019. Senior citizens have been complaining, Mr. Chairman, my colleagues, about the government's decision to make them stay at home for being vulnerable to the deadly COVID-19. Now, in a press briefing in Malacanang on April 30, should say, Presidential spokesman Secretary Harry Roque Jr. presented the omnibus guidelines for the implementation of community quarantine in the Philippines that will be implemented in areas that will be placed under the enhanced community quarantine ECQ and general community quarantine GCQ. Included in the guidelines is the provision that allows senior citizens who form part of the essential workplace of industries or offices that are allowed to operate, to go out and work, even in areas under ECQ, like in National Capital Region, NCR. Sabi ni Secretary Roque, sa mga lolo at lola, hindi naman po kayo completely kulong, preso. Pwede lang po kayong lumabas para kumuha ng essential goods and services o para magtrabaho sa mga pinapayagang mga industriya. Mahirap ito mag-Tagalog eh. Okay. Said, this is said the Palace spokesman. No? The same holds true for qualified senior citizens in GCQ areas. Hindi po kayo pinipigilan. Basta allowed na yung nagtrabaho, pwede po kayong magtrabaho mga seniors according to Secretary Roque Estreso. Department of Trade and Industry, the DTI, also expressed their support for the free movement of the senior citizen by allowing them to go out to avail essential amid the COVID-19 situation. The senior citizens who are actively working, running business, are allowed to go to work. We will use the ID system, the Trade Secretary Ramon Lopez added. Now, a similar remarks in connection with the free movement of senior citizens was also expressed by the top pandemic fighter in the Philippines, none other than Interior Secretary Eduardo Anyo. Sabi niya, sa GCQ may mga pagpaluwag na tayo. Naintindihan natin ang kalagayan ng mga seniors. Yung iba dyan, nagtatrabaho pa. Yung iba, sila yung executive ng kumpanya. Yun ang naman ng dyan, living alone. Isa lang. So, magkakaroon din tayong ng exemption, he said, the chairman. Further, early this June, Commission on Human Rights released their inputs of the Commission on Human Rights of the Philippines to report to the General Assembly of the United Nations Independent Experts on the enjoyment of all human rights by older persons. For few of striking and most relevant points are the mobility and freedom of movement of and health and adequate standard of living. Older people should not be locked, ipasuhon or stay home. Down when the rest of the population are already allowed to go outside their home. They are against discriminatory policies on the freedom of movement. Like the rest of the population, they know the rest are capable of taking care of themselves and are capable of doing work outside their homes. The lockdowns has negative representations to the mental health of older people, especially those living in non-ideal housing situation. On the 27th of August, the DILG recently issued DILG Memorandum Circular MC number 2020-110 dated August 16 and signed by Secretary Eduardo M. Anyo, otherwise known as Role of Mobility of Older Persons in Quarantine Situation as prescribed by the IETF MEID, which clarifies that all LGUs down to the barangay level implementing modified enhanced community quarantine, the MECQ, general community quarantine or GCQ, and modified GCQ pursuant to the IATF EID Omnibus Guideline shall not implement 24/7 lockdown on the older persons in their homes. In the same memorandum, Mr. Chairman and my colleague, the DILG also directed the police, the barangay, tanods, and respect the freedom of interzonal and intrasunal movement of older persons pursuant to the IATF EID Omnibus Guidelines. In areas under ECQ and MECQ, they shall allow older persons to cross borders for medical or humanitarian purposes, provided that humanitarian purposes shall include the obtaining of essential goods and services that are not available in their local areas. And to Mr. Chairman, this representation is passing a resolution a resolution entitled requesting the Honorable City Mayor Oscar S. Moreno, the barangay captains, the police, and the management of all establishments within the city to strictly respect and enforce the ILG's Memorandum Circular 2020-110 dated August 27, 2020, entitled The Mobility of Older Person in Quarantine Situation as prescribed by the Interagency Task Force for Management or Emerging Infection Disease, IATF-EID, Mr. Chairman. Subject for styling, Mr. Chairman, for the proper time.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Roger Abaday.
Mr. Chair,
Any other members who wants to
Mr. Chair,
add something or
Mr. Chair.
okay? Councilor Ruben Daba.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon sa ako mga kauban karon no. I think Mr. Chair, kaning kuan ni thank you kaayo sa report ni Councilor Abaday no, pero I think na under na siya sa atong barangay exit pass, dugay na nato gipass together with Councilor Caliso na ay mga guidelines dito nga ang atong senior citizen pwede na gid makalakaw. In fact naaga sila kaugalingon nga barangay exit pass para sa ilang mga essential or unsa ilang nakaw. So I think na-cover na sa atong ordinansa nga atong gipalabas I think mga last month man siguro to together with Councilor Romy Caliso, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you,
A
Councilor.
reaction, Mr. Chair.
Then, thank you, Councilor Ruben Daba. I think you are in a Christmas mode there at your abode. Early Christmas. So, other wants to add something? Okay, Councilor Lordan Swan.
Thank you,
Councilor
Mr.
Lordan
Chair.
Swan. Okay, may hapon.
May hapon sa tanan. I agree very much with the sentiments of Councilor Abaday. I think that we should heed the opinions of the DILG, especially considering that we have already adapted to the new normal, and it would be unfair to limit the mobility of our senior citizens, considering that among us they are the most wise due to their age. So siguro medyo galibog pagyapon ko kung unsay rules nato karon regarding sa senior citizens, kay niingon si Councilor Dabang i-allow na sila. So gusto lang po din ako makabalo unsa man gid ang actual karon nga rules para sa ato ang senior citizens. O kung mahimo klarohon nato, and then let us give them the freedom that they rightly deserve. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Lordan Swan. Okay. Any wants to add something? Okay, Majority Floor Leader, Ayan Markiblat Nakaya.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As soon as the DILG circular has been released, Mr. Chairman, the administration of Mayor Oscar Moreno has already moved forward as regards the flexibility for our senior citizens, particularly in the basic food sector, Mr. Chairman. In fact, senior citizens can enter now our public markets, provided that they follow the same regulations as that of the regulations provided for the general public. So in other words, this has been implemented already. Maybe I suggest that instead of requesting the city mayor, we will pass a motion and provide copies to all barangay captains and institutions, Mr. Chairman. So they have been allowed already. In fact, malls have been allowing senior citizens to enter the premises with the same conditions, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Majority Floor Leader. Ayan, Marky Blat na kaya.
May reaction, Mr. Chairman? May react?
Okay, Councilor Roger Abaday.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Thank you very much, my colleagues. Oh. Now, I know that we have passed an ordinance, Mr. Chairman, for this matter. But until now, it was not implemented and followed by, especially the management. The management. Many complaints I have my complaint now, the president of the senior citizen, that they are not allowed to enter any establishment or malls to buy essentials. They cannot even eat or snack to the stores, no? That in the malls, because it prohibits 60 above to enter the malls, Mr. Chairman. Now, that's why I am passing this, Mr. Chairman, this DILG memorandum, so that it will be strictly followed. The complaint, Mr. Chairman, has reached already, pestering to the Malacanang, because they were deprived, Mr. Chairman. So, in our city, Mr. Chairman, there is a need. There is a need for strict implementation of this memorandum issued by none less than the DILG, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Roger Abaday. So,
Reaction, Mr. Chairman.
okay, Councilor Romeo Calizo.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Actually, 3 days ago, we had a meeting as regards the acceptance of the IATF in disseminating guidelines, especially those as regards some changes in the restrictions among senior citizens. And the Law and Order Cluster has agreed that there should be a team dedicated in disseminating all these guidelines, because acceptedly, there is a clear deficiency in the dissemination process. So just like in malls, in banks, in fitness venues, there are restrictions still imposed among senior citizens, and it has been agreed upon, and maybe via a resolution we can come up with a measure that will improve our dissemination process, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Romeo Calizo. From the 19 City Council members. Okay. So, thank you for a good special report of yours, Councilor Roger Abaday. Since there is already existing guidelines and fully implemented, but as you reported, well, I think, or as I saw, the implementation about that matter for this senior citizen, that is why there is a confusing scenario, since that we are discouraging the senior citizens to go out. So that is why there is they are already allowed by the interagency task force guidelines, but we are, as a local government unit, we are discouraging, or we encouraging the senior citizen to stay at home, since they are the one who is at risk, and they are the one that what do you call this one? They are in the immunocompromised from their age. So as a local government unit, or the executive is discouraging the senior citizens, and so as the underage below. So we don't need to pass a resolution, but I think we, as our input by our majority floor leader, we have to to notify them or remind the chief executive, such as the barangay captains or other executive from the different national agencies, to implement or strict implement such thing or guidelines about this senior citizen.
Mr. Chairman, may I be allowed to speak, Mr. Chairman, for
Okay, I already ruled out Councilor Roger Abaday, but we have to notify in in your in your capacity as a chairman of the senior citizen, chairman committee on senior citizen, you have to notify directly to your committee chairmanship. So notify as long as you want, but we don't have to pass a resolution. Address it to our chief executive or our city mayor. So maybe you can address it directly to your office, to the different chief executive. So,
I just request, Mr. Chairman, that for widespread the dissemination of this.
okay, you can at your committee chairmanship, you can do as long as you want or as long you are comfortable with. So you can address it to the different, since it is a national law or national guideline. So maybe you can remind the different chief executive in our locality, different national agencies, directly from your committee from your committee chairmanship of senior citizen. Thank you, Councilor Roger Abaday.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. So our second reporter this afternoon, Councilor Saldi Ocon. Councilor Saldi Ocon, you have the floor.
Salamat, Mr. Presiding Officer.
May hapon.
Happy birthday, Councilor Edgar. Aray,
Mm.
Inday. Happy birthday. My special report, Mr. Presiding Sir, is all about the resolution issued from Provincial Local Interagency Task Force of Misamis Oriental. In fact, the CTDILG of Cagayan de Oro, isa sa mga natagaan og kopya of such resolution, and the CTDILG also forwarded a copy of such resolution to the office of the Honorable City Mayor of Cagayan de Oro, Mayor Oscar Moreno. I read the content of the Provincial Interagency Task Force of Misamis Oriental under Resolution Number 3, Series of 2020, address, Mr. Presiding Officer, to the Interagency Task Force National Office in Manila. And I read carefully what was the content of such resolution, enjoining, Mr. Chairman, all areas in Region 10, such as Cagayan de Oro, Iligan City, Lanao del Sur, Lanao del Norte, Misamis Occidental, Misamis Oriental, Bukidnon, Camigen, and even included Butuan City. That under the said resolution, nga ang tanan nga mga probinsya sa Region 10, apil ang Bukidnon, will be under General Community Quarantine, Mr. Presiding Officer. Ang pangutana karon nga ngay natong gustong mahibaw-an, ang nag-issue sa Resolution Number 3, Series of 2020, it was the Provincial Local Interagency Task Force. question. Wa pa kay kalambikitan niini ang lokal nga kagamhanan sa Misamis Oriental. Munay dakong pangutana. Dili pod siguro, Mr. Presiding Officer, magpatakaay og lugwa og resolution ang Provincial Inter-Agency Task Force of Misamis Oriental without the concurrence from the Governor of Misamis Oriental. Ang pangutana mao kini. In fact, I even consulted some local officials and different provinces. They are really against because there is no any prior consultation sa wa pabuhata ang maong resolution. Para kanila, usa kini ka encroachments of power. Nganuman, kay kada lungsod, kada syudad, kada probinsya, Mr. Chairman, na may local inter-agency task force nga mao'y magdeterminar sa kaso sa coronavirus sa ilahang tugkaran. Yang anong mag-apil-apil man ang Misamis Oriental? Ikaduha, ang Cagayan de Oro since 1984, usa na kani ka ingunta independence from Misamis Oriental. Meaning dili ta pwede gawong-gawungan na lang kung insa ilang gusto atong buhaton nga wala say prior consultation, Mr. Chairman. Wala gani gibutang sa maong resolution kung aduna ba'y ilang datos o exact figure kung pila ka milyon ang pakanon sa gobyerno. Kay magsugod kuno ang General Community Quarantine starting today, September 14 until October 16, 2020. Address to Manila, IETF. Kaya ka nato ni magpakaon, Mr. Chairman, sa kabuan. Di ba kahinuon mayabo ang mga local government, ang mga LGUs nga gihangyo sa Provincial Inter-Agency Task Force nga itutal under General Community Quarantine ang maong mga probinsya, di ba ka musamot na hinuon ang kalisod sa mga tao o dili ba ka matuwad ang panudlanan sa tagsa-tagsa ka mga local government unit nga apil sa nasangpit na resolution, Mr. Chairman. Ato man silang gisabot ang MISOR, pero ang ato lang unta ni ini, kung tinuod sila concern, dapat dili nila i-automatic ila por untang respetuhon ang maong mga lungsod, ang maong mga probinsya, aya sila magbutang. Yan ang resolution address sa National Inter-Agency Task Force, Mr. Chairman. So even gani ang atong mayor na hinabi nako, para kaniya matud pa niya, usa kini kapamaagi nga lagi dili maayo kay murag ang atong panudlanan sa Cagayan de Oro murag atong ituwad na hinuon, Mr. Chairman. Magsugod karong adlaw hangtod October 16, kita lugar ang mupakaon sa tibuok Cagayan de Oro. Kaya baka nato ipakaon ang mga tao sa Cagayan de Oro sa kabulan? Mao na diya. So kung aduna may angay nato under General Community Quarantine, Mr. Chairman, tunan unta pag-ayo sa Province Inter-Agency Task Force sa Misamis Oriental. Kung ang usa ka barangay adunay problema sa coronavirus, dili ang tanang barangay maoy siradaan, kundi i-determinar kung asa sa barangay, purok 1 ba, purok 2, ang medyo problematic sa coronavirus, maulamang ang ipailawon sa General Community Quarantine. Dili ang tibuok barangay, otherwise mga matay ug kaon ang mga tao diha, Mr. Chairman. Muna nga, ang akong pangutana, this resolution from Provincial Inter-Agency Task Force, dili ba ka kini a big battle on their parts? Because as I said earlier, Mr. Chairman, there is no any prior consultation to respective LGUs pertaining to this resolution series number 3, resolution number 3 series of 2020, enjoining all the Region 10 and even Butuan to place under general community quarantine, Mr. Chairman.
You did.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for your indulgence and also to my colleagues. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Saldi Ocon. Okay. Just an information about the special report of Councilor Saldi Ocon. Wants to add something? Okay, none. Okay. So thank you, Councilor Saldi Ocon. Well,
Thank you.
today is September 14. I think that resolution of them is already ignored since we are now in. Today is September 14. So there is no action at all. The national government, IATF. So we'll just be passive about it since it's just a resolution after all. So thank you, Councilor Saldi Ocon. Okay. Our orders of the day, Majority Floor Leader, Ayan Marky Blat Nakaya. Majority Floor.
Thank you.
Before we proceed, I would like to thank Councilor Inday Dahino. Salamat kayo for the birthday bash.
Thank you, Councilor
thank you.
Inday.
Thank you, Councilor Inday Dahino. Happy birthday. Majority Floor,
Wakadungog.
Councilor Inday Dahino.
Salamat.
In behalf who are present this afternoon, nani sa plenary, magpasalamat, ipaabot ang pasalamat kanimo. Salamat daw kayo.
Yes, Vice.
Salamat.
Thank you.
In behalf of us, Majority Floor Leader, Ayan Marky Blat Nakaya, Councilor Gaani, Councilor Alam Lim, Councilor Enrico Salcedo, and Councilor Edgar Cabanlas. But Councilor Enrico Salcedo have an appeal to you that he wants a cash.
Sunod na.
Salamat kayo.
Klaro to, sunod na.
Well taken daw, Councilor Enrico Salcedo.
So we proceed to the agenda proper, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Majority Floor, carry on.
One is proposed ordinance number 2020-156 approving the preliminary subdivision development plan PSDP of Vederi subdivision project located in Barangay Balulang, the city with an area of 134.63 square meters containing 738 plots unit socialized housing project as applied for by the John Dorf Venture Corporation represented by its permits and licenses supervisor Sofia L. Roque, subject to the conditions imposed by the City Engineering Office and the City Housing and Urban Development Department. Move for its approval, Mr. Chairman.
Properly moved by Majority Floor. Any second from the members? Seconded.
Second.
Objection? Is there any? There is none. Ordinance number 2020-156 is hereby approved.
Move to dispense second final reading.
Dispense for its finality. Seconded.
Second.
2 is proposed ordinance number 2020-157 providing for the streamlined guidelines for the issuance of permits, licenses, and certificates for the construction of shared passive telecommunications tower infrastructure PTTI pursuant to the Joint Memorandum Circular GMC number 01-2020 implementing the relevant provisions of Republic Act number 11032, otherwise known as the Ease of Doing Business and Efficient Government Service Delivery Act, and for other purposes. Move for its approval, Mr. Chairman.
Properly moved by the Majority Floor Leader. Any second? Seconded.
Second.
There is none. Ordinance number 2020-157 is hereby approved. Authored by Councilor Enrico Salcedo, Councilor Rodolfo Bunglao, and Councilor...
Discussion, Mr. Chairman. Discussion. Can we have discussion? I have a little discussion about this ordinance.
Mo ba?
Huwag
Sige.
na.
I just want to hear from the author, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, carry on, Councilor Roger Abaday.
I just want to, Mr. Chairman, I'm not opposing, but I just want to hear, for the sake of clarity, what are the following requirements that has been eased or being deleted from this ordinance, so that we will know the SP has been deleted, or what are those that have been deleted, Mr. Chairman, or streamlined?
Well, there is a draft ordinance. You can read it about.
I want to the explanation of the author, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. You want a special mention
Direct from the mouth of the author, Mr. Chairman.
So, special gini ha, Councilor Enrico Salcedo, you are requested by Councilor Roger Abaday to the draft ordinance as doing business about this government efficiency service, about this telecommunication tower infrastructure in our locality. Councilor Enrico Salcedo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, ug mayong hapon sa tanan. Ug salamat, Mr. Chairman, sa labi na sa akong oyuan, Councilor Roger Abaday. Before, Mr. Chairman, kung atong paminahon ang SONA ni President Duterte, 6 months niya nangutana ta sa kining mga kontraktor, there is ato 8 to 12 months. Before pa nagsona si President Duterte, Mr. Chairman, nag-create na ta og technical working group headed by Ma'am Eileen San Juan, ang Vice Chair, si Director Ted Buenavista, o gubanday ng mga department head, like for example sa UBO, sa city planning, uban pa, Mr. Chairman. Muna nga kita man good, Mr. Chairman, nga ang nakadugay dito sa barangay kay mga pagbarangay resolution, diniden sa ato sa City Council, makalangan, Mr. Chairman, siyempre kay sa committee padaan nato as chairman of the Committee on Environment, kandak pa ta og kining meeting, uguban pa, Mr. Chairman, muna mabdan. Karon pag streamline na to, Mr. Chairman, wala na barangay resolution. Ang kakwaon, instead ng barangay resolution, barangay construction clearance na lang. Dili na mag public hearing ang barangay. Kay ang public hearing sa barangay, Mr. Chairman, mo consume na siya og mga 1 month to 45 days. 30 days to 45 days. Munang niya ang saka-up sa, Mr. Chairman, dugay kaayo, mabdag 3 months, 4 months ang saka-up. Karon, Mr. Chairman, gitagaan lang sila 7 days. Sa inline gyapon sa Joint Memorandum Circular sa DICT, Mr. Chairman, o sa DILG. O muna, Mr. Chairman, nga gi-streamline na gid nato og ang ato dayong wala nay city resolution or bali interposing objection sa social acceptability. Wala na to, Mr. Chairman. Ang karon, ang gimo na to 7 days na lang, appeal na ang pagpangayo o construction clearance, Mr. Chairman, sa barangay, sa UBO. Kaya ang UBO na gani gitahasan, Mr. Chairman, gani ang atong majority floor leader na siya gidugang sab ani nga gi-create ang katong creation sa kining one-stop shop for construction permit para gyud nga madali na to, Mr. Chairman. Sa ato pa karon, kung atong tan-awon 14 days na lang gyud karon ang pag-process nato sa mga cell site dinhi sa Dakbayan sa Cagayan de Oro. Gani una pa ta ang Cagayan de Oro City, pinakauna, Mr. Chairman, nga nagsuporta with Memorandum Circular o katong sa SONA ni President Digong Duterte. Tayong salamat, Mr. Chairman. May hapon sa tanan.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Enrico Salcedo. I think we are the first city who implement such ordinance like this since as I know other cities are especially Taguig, I think they are objecting about this circular or about that memorandum in other cities, urban cities in Manila. So
Mr. Chairman.
it is clear, Councilor Roger Gabatay?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, because there are people who are asking me about this ordinance, Mr. Chairman. And they are now listening live, especially residents from Masaan and Gusa, Mr. Chairman. So they'll be satisfied.
So, since there is no objection, after all, there is a pending ordinance or proposal coming from the 19th City Council, proposed by the majority floor. So, properly moved and seconded since there is no objection. Objection. Objection? Is there any? There is none. Ordinance number 2020-157 is hereby approved.
Move to dispense second final reading.
Dispense with its finality. Any second?
Second.
Second.
May we know, Mr. Chairman, the health status of Councilor Chodolfo Bunglao? Maybe we can ask our colleague, maybe he can represent us in the checking.
Well, I
because
think he's
we are
doing
concerned
well
of his-
already. He already recovered. Well, the only in medical field here in our colleague is Councilor Maria Lourdes Gaani. So maybe afterwards.
Maybe
do-
she can send words that we are very concerned. And,
Okay.
in any way that we can also assist him, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. But maybe after that you talk to him since you want
Yes.
for his privacy, for humanitarian reason and is for privacy on his part. So okay.
In
well,
any way that we can also assist Mr.
put it
Chairman.
to the record also what that
Yes.
but so maybe Maria Lourdes Gani, you can okay. From this moment afterwards. So carry on, Majority Floor Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Number 3 is proposed ordinance number 2020-158, amending ordinance number 13855-2020, otherwise known as the Community Quarantine Guidelines, Rules, and Regulations of 2020 as amended, so as to require the wearing or use of face shield as defined herein when riding public utility buses, public utility jeepneys, motorella or tricycle for hire, tricycad, or when entering or inside commercial establishments, shopping malls, banks, restaurants, fast food chains, eateries, government or private offices, and other public places like public markets and for other purposes. The author is Councilor Ruben Dukbuboy Daba. Move for its approval, Mr. Chairman.
Properly moved by the Majority Floor. Any second?
Second.
Second.
Objection? Objection.
Mr. Chairman, discussion, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Discussion.
Okay, Councilor Roger Gabaday.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I am not opposing, Mr. Chairman. I just want to be clarified regarding last paragraph, page 55, appendix D, last paragraph of section 1, not paragraph of section 1.
Page?
Page 55.
Page 55. Paragraph?
Paragraph of section 1, that text of all, Mr. Chairman, page 7, subparagraph Y. Y.
Why? Okay.
Okay. Now, I am concerned, Mr. Chairman, for the drivers, Mr. Chairman. Public utility and private utility, public utility, private. Now, all of us, Mr. Chairman, are driving cars. So we are professional drivers. Now, we know already what are the destruction of visibility. Imagine we're wearing face shield, face mask while driving, and we are faced with the windshield. Does not distract, prone to accident, Mr. Chairman, because there is a destruction of vision on the part of the driver wearing face mask while driving. while driving. Face mask and face shield. And to wear side eyeglass, his eyeglass is not enough as a protection of a substitute for the face shield. Now here in the last paragraph of Y, the eyeglass, those who are wearing accepted ang wearing of eyeglass, but it should be completely covered with full face. Now, is there an eyeglass that is designed like this, Mr. Chairman? Full face, eyeglass but with full face, with the full face. Very tight requirements.
Okay. Okay. Is there any other? Okay, Councilor Ruben Daba.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. Salamat kayo no, sa question sa atong kauban, si Councilor Abaday. Kining sa Y, okay, if I may, Mr. Chair, face shield refer to non-medical grade protective equipment which should cover the whole facial area. So, in short, magod ani, Mr. Chair, gigamit lang ni siya for pandemic. Kaya nga no, pareha gyapon sa katong barriers bitaw sa motor nga ato gyapon gi question na no. Ako nagtesting gyud ko kay ako may kuan ani author, salamat kay ka Councilor Malo Serenia gaani no sa nagkuan siya. Nagtesting gyud ko og face shield. Kanang face shield mo cover siya the whole face kay nga no, ang one ra gyud ang kuan gyud ana is to aware you and to remind you na naay COVID-19 because sometimes or majority of us we have a mannerism that we're going to touch our face. And then pag touch nato sa face, once nga nakatouch siya sa face, muhatag siya og signal or warning or kanang remembering you that there is a pandemic. So kung nag-drive ka labi na gyud og public ang imong gidrivean nga naay mga tao nga naa sa imong likod or daghan kaayo nga nagsakay sa public utility unya daw be God forbid ikaw isa daay ka non-asymptomatic. So nako gyud kaayo siya makatabang. And then I think dili gid siya makakuan sa visibility because I'm doing it akong gi-testing gyud. Clear man kaayo ang kuan, clear man kaayo ang face shield. And then naagid din nga as long as it will cover the length of the face. Kay you know why? Dili pwede ka ng half-half lang, Mr. Chair. Kay kung half-half lang, you can still scratch your face here in the kana sa imong side, sa imong maxilla and sa imong mandible or kini didapit sa imong baba. So mo gyapon na ang wala gyapon nag-serve sa purpose. So I think kini siya it's been observed by the World Health Organization and the IATF na gamiton gid nato. So I think there's no problem with that, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Ruben Daba. Well, that is not an objection, just a simple question coming from Councilor Roger Abaday. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, may I respond, Mr. Chairman? Because
before you, Councilor Roger Abaday, Councilor Lord Dansuan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You know, I really agree with Councilor Abaday about this because earlier today, I used a face shield. It was the regular face shield that is being sold in Divisoria. So I suppose that this is what most of our PUJ drivers are going to buy because it's accessible and affordable. And I must say that it was very annoying. Lisod kayo, dili maklaro unya mahitabo. Ako na hinung ipasaka kay kanang di mo siya maklaro good. Siguro kung tsada ang quality sa face shield, arang-arang siya pero para sa ako delikado siya kung mag-drive ka nga nakagamit anang face shield especially kaning mga regular quality nga ginabaligya. Na mora po din tao ma-afford sa atong mga driver. Ang mahitabo ani mas delikado na hinuon sa kaning atong mga pasahero. Although mas safe siya sa ato ang driver kay naprotektahan siya sa face shield, pero in return ang iyang visibility makuhaan gid siya kay wala hinuon ko ni testing og drive gamit ang face shield pero pag baklay-baklay lang nako kaganina kaingon yu ko nga alingasa gid kay siya unya maka reduce siya sa visibility. So that's just my input, Mr. Chair, and I wish that maybe we could consider it, especially only for the drivers, but maybe we can implement it for everyone else, but we should study it further regarding the drivers only. That's just my opinion.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Lordan Swan. So, it, it is an objection or an amendment or
Mr. Chair.
An
any?
amendment, Mr. Chair.
Just want to clarify from both of you, Councilor Roger Abaday, and a joint proposal for amendment.
Yes,
Councilor
Mr. Chairman.
Lordan Swan?
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Okay, just a simple reminder. Okay, Councilor Ruben Dava. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you so much, Councilor Suwan and Councilor Abaday. No, kining atong gihimong amendment sa ordinansa ni Councilor Maru Serenia Gaani, ako lang kaning gifalo sa atong directive labi na gyud sa atong transportation sa LTFRB kay ang ila gi-required gyud nila all drivers dili gani public or private, all drivers should wear the face shield. And then nakita lagi basin siguro, Mr. Chair, kay if you notice, if you wear face shield, dili nimo kwaon ang kanang ilang gibutang bitaw nga mura bitaw siya mo protect nga dili siya ma-scratch. Kung dili na nimo kwaon, dili gid kay kakakita, pero kung kwaon nimo clear as sometimes gani di ka kabalo nga naghimo na nagamit na ka og face shield. Unya duha na siya, Mr. Chair, sa gawas ug sa sulod. So you have to remove that one kana a very thin nga plastic nga nag-cover ana sa ila to give you a very good visibility. And then duha na ka klase ka face shield, Mr. Chair. Ang isa para sa dili gagamit og kanang sunglasses like me, kanang dili gagamit og sunglasses, nana sila murag sunglasses nga naay kanang para dini. Dili na pwede sa ako, Mr. Chair, kay ang akong ilong kun wala ni bangag, hubag ra man ni siya. So ang tendency kun ibutang na nimo din na sa ibutang na nimo din sa kwan, ang tendency mahulog ang imo antipara kay sa ako nang gisulti ang akong ilong kun walay bangag, hubag ra gyud siya. So ang isa, Mr. Chair, naa dinhi sa ibabaw ang kanamurag plastic nga mo barriers nga naay space nga para ang imong antipara makakita ka. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Ruben Dava. Well, actually, as I read the ordinance, it is already under the Interagency Task Force guidelines.
Yes,
Of it.
yes.
But the only difference is just the penalty of it.
Yes.
So, all in all is already in the National Interagency Task Force guidelines. So,
Yes, Mr.
the
Chair.
only difference is the penalty. So there is a penalty about it. So from the face shield, not just our locality or some of us questioning it, but I think about this, especially the barrier of the motorcycle is questioning all over the Philippines for this implementation. So,
Yes.
this could be it, since, well, from Councilor Roger Abada and Councilor Lordan Swan, it is not an objection. So just a simple reminder. But
Mr. Chair, can I add a little, Mr. Chair?
Okay, Councilor Roger Abaday. Okay.
The basis of my query, Mr. Chairman, because the U.S. Centers for Disease and Control for Prevention guidelines said that it is enough that wearing face shield or face mask can prevent a person from aerosol or any COVID virus. Because many now are using substandard face mask and face shield. Itong baraton gipanggamit nga very blurred and face shield must be 2 layers. So in the case of face shield, it must be standard that is prescribed by DOH, Mr. Chairman. So can we provide a standard face shield in order to be worn by drivers? I'm only concerned for the drivers, Mr. Chairman.
Well, I think if you at least you have a face shield.
Yeah.
Then
So
nothing at
what I
all.
am anticipating, Mr. Chairman, is the accident because it disrupt the vision of the driver. For driver alone, Mr. Chairman, that's only my concern because I'm driving and I really experience it distract our vision, Mr. Chairman, while driving, especially during night time. Glaring, if you'll be hit by a light, so it will. So I think that's my concern, Mr. Chairman. And I hope that a standard official will be required in order to be worn, or eyeglass will be worn, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Roger Cabanay. So, since there is no objection, just a simple a question and answered by the author itself. So, there is a pending ordinance. There is a pending ordinance properly moved and seconded. Objection? Objection? Is there any? There is none. It is hereby approved. Ordinance number 20. Ordinance number 20. Sa ba to?
Last item.
158.
Okay. Ordinance number 2020-158 is hereby approved.
Move to dispense second final reading.
Dispense with its finality. And any second?
Second.
Second.
Chairman.
Second.
Session adjourned.
Amen.
Okay, Councilor Roger Cabanlas, Edgar Cabanlas, and Inday Dahino.
Happy birthday.
Salamat, Councilor Inday Dahino.
Yes. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Happy
Yes
birthday.
po. Salamat po.
Nailitson ni
Bye, everyone.
Edgar Cabanlas.
Sunod ng lechon, sunod ng lechon.
Yehey.
Ang manok Bisaya pagawad Inday. Ang manok Bisaya ba? Oh, kang katong kanding Councilor Inday nagisigulag peanut butter lami ra ba to?